Hi everyone, Neathany Sleep Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Big Thief album, Two Hands. Two of them. This is the newest full-length LP from buzzing indie folkers Big Thief, fronted by currently one of the most distinct singers in the genre right now, Adrian Lenker. Big Thief has been making quite a bit of headway over the past few years. The band's mix of intricate but enchanting folk instrumentation and odd but expressive lead vocals have not only earned them a 4AD record contract, but also leagues of diehard fans ready to go to the mat for them. And while their record UFOF earlier this year was definitely a breakout moment for them, despite the wide praise amongst fans and many publications, I just could not bring myself to get into it as much. I just did not see what was so profound about it. Meanwhile, while I don't love the band's 2017 record Capacity, at least that album was a bit more focused, consistent, seemed like it had an identity. Meanwhile, UFOF, in comparison, is so scattershot, unsure of its direction, and occasionally, despite the unique characteristics of Big Thief's music, drowning in its influences, just not that strong of a personality to it. So with this wave of success that Big Thief is riding, the band is doing something that is rare for a group in indie folk, especially one that is up and coming, and that is drop 2 albums within 5 months of each other. Were all of these tracks written and workshopped and recorded within that time period? I don't know, but either way, it's a lot of music to be dropping in such a short amount of time. Big picture, I suppose it does make sense, as Big Thief is just as subjected to the oversaturation of the music industry as any rapper making 3 mixtapes a year is. I went into this record worried, though, that there would be no reason to even listen to it, because within this span of time, how would Big Thief come through with a distinct sound and set of songs that actually feels different from UFOF and hopefully more appealing to me than UFOF? But the band actually did it, and not by indulging in a bunch of experiments and abstractions. No, this record is very much about Big Thief taking it back to basics. Instrumentally, I would say it's kind of the spiritual successor to Capacity, as in the track list here, the band folds one tuneful, expressive, subtly weird folk tune on top of another. Sure, the production is not as slick as it was on UFOF, there are not as many bells and whistles, but there's really nothing to distract from the focus of just delivering some quality, straightforward, solid songwriting here, which, when you're talking about a genre as simple and as rustic generally as folk music, can't be a bad thing. Now, maybe this is to a point where some of the instrumental palettes here are a bit bland, like on the very subdued Those Girls, or on the somewhat breezy Replaced, or maybe a song such as the intro comes off a little brief, underwritten. Still though, there's a very nice handful of highlights on this thing. Most of the tracks on this record are incredibly enjoyable. For one, the track Forgotten Eyes, one of the most solid and replayable songs this band has ever put out. I love the rich acoustic chords on this track. I love how nimble and dynamic Lenker's vocals are. She's just ice dancing on this instrumental. Easily one of her best performances on the entire record. And the song has this lovely, almost romantic, intoxicating quality to it. Just gets me swaying immediately. And I'm so taken with the lyrics on this one too, which range from being incredibly surreal but beautiful. Forgotten eyes are the ones which we lose. Forgotten hands are the ones which we choose. Then we get spots on the same track that are wonderfully relatable, like everybody needs a home and deserves protection. I also love the track Two Hands, with these speedy, quickly played guitar arpeggios and the somewhat metallic and rickety percussion in the background. It hits a good pace. All of this sets a very simple and raw foundation for Lenker's slightly lo-fi vocal performance here. It's a wonderfully organic, in-the-moment recording that just feels so intimate. Also, that melodic transition into the chorus, the it's just so warm and inviting and welcoming. It feels familiar, but also refreshing and new. Lenker's voice reminds me at points of like a violin. We also have the track Not, which is a grim piece of folk rock with lots of distorted, extended guitar solos. It reaches this urgent darkness that reminds me of like an old classic Neil Young song or two. And Wolf, despite being one of the quietest tracks here, is easily one of the most compelling and worthwhile. The hypnotic acoustic fingerpicking is tight as hell, the rustic lead melodies, as well as some of Lenker's most poetic writing on the entire project. The sense of longing on this track is so thick, you could cut it with a knife, stab it with a fork, scoop it with a spoon. I don't have an incredible amount of praise for this record past this point, but it is a very good and solid set of tracks. I enjoyed it certainly much more than Big Thief's last record. I may be in the minority on that, but it is what it is. I would love to hear the band in the future be able to build on this sound without losing sight of these characteristics that make them what they are. And even though there are a handful of tracks here that I wish were more fleshed out, or a bit bolder, I still find this to be a very solid and enjoyable indie folk record, a don't miss if you're a diehard for the genre. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video for you to check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Big Thief, forever.